Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time.
As always, thank you to our feral venerators of Soirain, Charlie, Morshadi, I'm saying this out of order, John, and Lurks. Lurks should come first, because they were our sugar mommy first, but yes.
Yes. But thank you to all of you very much. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
In this episode, we are diving into episode 5 of the Rings of Power Season 2. We have a few different plot lines here, and instead of just reading through my notes and trying to recap, I did something smart and pulled the episode summary from Wikipedia.
Wow.
So it's going to save me a lot of stress from having to remember what happened in the episode, even though I just watched it.
Look at us figuring this out like halfway through.
Yeah, I know. I'm really proud of myself.
I love it.
It's been a learning opportunity for me, and I'm just really happy. So first we start with the Dwarves. We have Durin the Third, who is the king, using one of the Rings of Power to help rebuild the Dwarves' infrastructure and bring sunlight back to Khazad-dûm. The ring also makes the king greedy, and he dismisses a warning from Disa that they could be awakening something evil that lives beneath the mines. See how succinct that was?
That was very succinct. That was great. It's almost like someone is paid to write these.
I don't know if anyone's paid at Wikipedia to write these.
Well, maybe not. But it's almost like it's their job. It's almost like this is a thing they do on a regular basis.
It's almost like someone more qualified than me came up with an episode summary.
I mean, you said it. I did not say it.
Someone more qualified than me who does not write episode summaries at all. Because me, I'm just like, and then.
That's me.
But no, I really liked the dwarf storyline. What did you think of it?
Yes, I loved it. There was a good amount of, I'm always very tickled and touched when there's like sprinklings of Tolkien lore in it. Mixed in through the episode, and this one had some really, really cool ones, like the thing that was in the water. Are we thinking the Watcher in the water potentially?
I assume it's the Watcher in the water. I think it was trapped in Khazad-dûm and then like got released or something. And
yeah,
I think that would be really, really interesting to see. Yeah, like because Disa was like, "Nope, back away."
Immediately she was like, absolutely the fuck not. Like, yeah.
I loved seeing Disa using her vocalization powers kind of casually, because previously we've seen them more like ceremonial.
Mm-hmm. They're more functional. Like and that's not to say that this didn't also serve a function, but she just, she was doing it because she could. And because it would help her find this little, this thing that she had gotten for her daughter, I think it was, that they got it for.
Right.
Yeah. And so yeah, anytime we get to see Disa Stone singing, it makes me so happy. I wish we got more of it, honestly, on the show. I understand why we can't get more of it on the show, because there's so much that they need to get through. And they don't necessarily have the time for it, but it's such a cool, it's a really good example of something that's not specified in the books, as far as I'm aware, but it makes complete sense. It's so cool.
Yeah, it definitely feels appropriate to Tolkien that we have stone singing.
Yeah.
I don't like that with the ring, it kind of becomes like antiquated technology real quick.
Yeah. Oh my god. The swiftness that they're just like, okay.
Yeah,
well.
No, he's just like, dig here. And then everyone's like, that's a foundational wall. We don't dig there, Dad.
We don't do that. Okay, Grandpa.
We don't do that here.
And also how they is his name Narvi?
Narvi, yes.
Narvi. How he tells the workers like, hey, why don't you take off early today? Just in case it just there's like a little bit of a collapse, but just take off early. It's fine. It's fine.
You don't have to tell them twice. Absolutely not.
Yeah, they booked it out of there.
Yeah. And he's right. We do eventually get light back at Cause of Doom, and we get light back on the tree, which I thought was a nice touch, seeing the tree.
Yeah, I did too. It was a nice little bit. It was a nice little sliver of, I think, hope in an episode that was not necessarily hopeless, but it was dark. Like, I feel like this is the darkest episode we've kind of gotten in a little bit, at least this season anyway. Because there's a lot going on, and a lot of people who have malicious intent are getting their way right now.
Yes.
Which is difficult to watch.
I think that's a very good way to put it.
Yeah, it's difficult to watch. It's great television, but it's difficult to watch.
I did enjoy King Durin's little speech about the sun.
Mm-hmm.
I did have questions about it, though. So let me go ahead and read it really quickly.
Okay.
I'm going to do my best King Durin impression. Pity those who dwell above, slaves to the sun, chained to its ceaseless rhythm of waking and sleep. In Khazad Dûm we are free of its tyranny. Here we bring the sun to us. At last it is daybreak once more in our mountain.
That was good.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you're still one of the people that is like chained to its ceaseless rhythm of waking and sleep.
Yes, they are.
Because the sun isn't up 24/7.
No, they very much are. I think this was an example of dwarves being, just to put it mildly, extra as fuck. Because
Extra as fuck.
it's just dwarves are constantly, and I mean elves are too, just in a different way. But dwarves are constantly at an 11 or a 12.
Yeah. They're very opulent.
Yes. Opulence, you own everything. And I mean, it's funny to say that King Durin kind of did want to own everything this episode. So
Oh my gosh. So I wrote a note in here. I was just looking at it and I was like, Disa is speaking words of wisdom about how the ring might be affecting King Durin, or how there's something in the water, or no, that was before we saw something in the water. But anyway, Disa was speaking words of wisdom, but I'm like, it's not, for me personally, I wrote that it's not enough to convince me that King Durin doesn't know what he's doing. And then the immediate next scene is talking about a ring tribute, and I'm like, oh, so we went from a 0 to 100 really quickly.
So quick.
As in literally 100% tax.
Yes. I was like, oh, okay. So the greed is just like, it's not even taking a little stroll. It's just going full speed ahead, huh?
Which is interesting because in the books, the rings do not affect the dwarves as much as Sauron would have liked.
Right. Yes. Or at least yes. And it's more of a gradual, like the whole kind of thing with the rings is like they realize too late that it's like the fuckery with the rings. And it's because it's this like gradual sort of hold that the rings take over them. And I understand, I get why that's not the case in the show. And I agree that it can't really be the case because that wouldn't be as interesting, I think.
Right.
They're wanting to accelerate it. They're wanting to make it more dramatic for people. And I get that. I get why they would make it more of an immediate thing.
Yeah. Like, in the books, the rings kind of amplify the wearer's inherent abilities and personality traits. So if we had seen King Durin be greedy in season 1 or something, it would have made a lot more sense to me as a viewer.
Right.
And it makes sense to me as a casual, like, if I were a casual person watching the show, I would understand that, okay, Sauron had a hand in making this ring. It makes sense that he would be greedy. Dwarves are greedy. It's very surface level. It's very like, dwarves are greedy. Let's make dwarves greedy without putting in the work for it.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is, there's a simplicity to it. I think also too, though, the most recent Tolkien product that people have seen, and that people who are watching the show probably have seen this as well, is the Hobbit movies. And that's a whole other conversation, whether, we can't get into that right now. But one thing that is very much a focus is the sickness that happens with Thorin. And that is sort of it's a thing, especially in his line as well.
Right.
And so I think that may be what they're kind of hitting on. Like they're trying to draw this sort of line between the two, because that is something that a lot of viewers would it would make sense, because they've seen his great however grandson also fall sick. Now that was not connected to the rings necessarily, but it's still this sort of sickness and this greed and this hunger that takes hold of that line. And so it may be two things kind of working at work right now.
Yeah, I think how do I phrase this? I think the rings don't cause inherent greediness, but they amplify it, and dwarves are greedy kind of in general.
Mm-hmm.
And as the years went on after the rings, they got worse and worse until we see something known as dragon sickness.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, one point about the dwarven rings is that they're passed down kind of like throughout the generations. So it's hard to think about how. I think the part that disturbed me a little bit was how King Durin was saying that he feels like uneasy without his ring, or he got that like ring madness a little bit.
Yeah. He was saying it felt heavy to him, right? I think that's what someone commented.
He said his hand was feeling heavy.
Yeah.
Which again, we're going from 0 to 100 here.
Yeah, real quick.
Like, you would think that these rings are like bad news, and the only person that really kind of sees it is Durin, Prince Durin, who we're going to get to in a moment when we get to Celebrimbor and Anatar. But yeah, the only person who really sees it is Disa and Prince Durin.
Yeah.
No one else. Narvi kind of notices it a little bit.
He does, but his loyalty to his king is what wins in the end, which,
yes,
I understand it, because he's not. Well, no, he would be more privy, I think, to it than Durin would be. Durin would understand, Prince Durin, that is, would understand his father more, and so it makes sense why for Prince Durin it's more personal,
right? And
it's out of more of a concern for his father. But Narvi would absolutely, like, he's with the king a lot, and so he's absolutely seen this, but and I think too, like because they mentioned it a couple of times, like this has literally saved Khazad-dûm, like it saved their home, and it's brought the light back to their home, and they are it's so important to them, and so I think people like Narvi are willing to ignore those sort of red flags and warning signs because it's potentially could be saving their home, or not could be, it is saving their home.
Right. I mean, you have to weigh the pros and the cons of it, but I think and Narvi does hesitate a little bit, which is validating, I think.
Yeah, he knows something's up.
I did find it hilarious that Durin is charging the other dwarf lords for their rings.
Truly wild. Truly wild.
Again, we aren't going from 0 to 100. We're going from 0 to 1,000. He
right away, he's like, listen, y'all got to pay up. Open up those purse strings and pay up.
Half of what what they produce.
Wild.
That's insane.
That's what a crazy tax. It's wild.
Like, first he imposes a 100% ring, what is it called? Ring tribute?
Ring tribute, yeah.
On his people, and then he charges a 50% tax on all of the other dwarf lords, and apparently they're going to take it or accept it.
Well, because they're, like, you can see even as they were, like, just sitting there and looking at the rings, and I mean, this is nothing new, the rings have a draw to them.
Right.
They have a power just looking. Like, you don't even have to be wearing it. It's just seeing it. And because these were like specifically made for dwarves, and so of course they're gonna call 2 dwarves. So yeah.
No, I think the dwarven storyline was really good and really strong in this episode. I am worried, obviously, about King Durin and curious as to where things go going forward. But overall, I think this was a good episode for the dwarves.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. The sequence of, I mean, obviously what comes after is very concerning, but the sequence of Disa dropping the orb thing and her trying to run through the crowd and like trying to it was very comical and I enjoyed it.
It was cute.
It was
so cute.
It's so cute.
Next we go to Celebrimbor and Anatar. In Eregion, Anatar insists that they start work on the Rings of Power for men, but Celebrimbor refuses to be involved. When Prince Durin expresses his concerns about the Dwarven rings to Celebrimbor, Anatar suggests that the negative impacts are being caused by Celebrimbor lying to Gil-galad about making more rings. Celebrimbor agrees to help make rings for men in an attempt to redeem his work on the Dwarven rings.
Oh my god, James. James.
Celebrimbor is in an abusive relationship.
Celebrimbor is in an abusive, toxic relationship, and he doesn't see it. He doesn't see it as the thing.
I mean, there were a couple of points in here where I was like, are you kidding me? Like, girl, run. Get out.
Girl, stand up. Like, I literally wrote, Celebrimbor is in such a toxic relationship. Stand up. Like, girl, stand up.
I wrote, Celebrimbor, you're in an abusive relationship with Anatar. Get out, girl.
Yes, you in danger, girl. Celebrimbor, you in danger, girl.
And it's only going to get worse from here.
Oh my god. That's what I was thinking this episode, like watching this. I was like, this is really difficult to watch in a good way. It should be. It's going to get so much worse for him though. I hate it.
Oh yeah.
But like it's masterful to watch because the way that Sauron manipulated Celebrimbor into writing that letter in the first place and then turns around and uses Celebrimbor writing the letter, which Sauron manipulated him to do, as reason for why the Dwarven rings are all fucked up.
Right. No, it's lies on lies on lies. It is like gaslighting to the nth degree.
Oh my god, it's so bad. And by bad, I mean it's good. It should be bad.
It's good TV.
Yeah.
And then later on in the episode, we have Sauron says this line, which I had to pause because I was just like, oh my god, the irony.
Mm-hmm.
As one who so masterfully manipulates metals, just be mindful someone is not manipulating you.
Listen, I also had to pause because I was like, are you kidding me right now? And of course, obviously, this line is very intentional. It's extreme. Like, it's
100%. The writers knew what they were doing.
It's just so good. It's so perfect and so horrible. It's so horrible. And it's like obviously we're watching it. We know what's happening. We know that Celebrimbor is being manipulated. But like, you can see how he's doing it. You can see how he's doing it. Like, it's not even a case of like, well, Celebrimbor should know better. How would he know?
Oh yeah, there's no way for Celebrimbor to do better. Like, he is being manipulated by a master manipulator, by the most abusive boyfriend that has thousands of years of experience doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the eldest of twinks. Not even a twink. Is Sauron a twink?
No, Sauron is not a twink.
No. Yeah, you're right.
Sauron is, I don't know what to classify him as. His face is just weird for me. The prosthetics are weird this season.
Yeah, well. But yes, he is Sauron is doing a number on Celebrimbor, and then also on I can't remember her name now. The female elf that is Celebrimbor's assistant. Can't think of her name now.
Merdania.
Okay, I never would have remembered that. Wow.
So when was she introduced?
I think her as a character, she's been there, but I don't know that they ever said her name before.
Like, she was just next to Sauron in the beginning of the episode, and I literally just wrote, who is this woman next to Anatar?
Right? I was like, okay, girl.
Why is she so comfy?
Yeah.
Like, literally, I did not remember her at all until this episode, and I barely, like...
I think she was legitimately in the background. That's why, like, she was in the background, which is crazy.
That's so bizarre that they just introduce her as her own character.
Yeah, wild. But also, like, you know, they just introduce someone else, and Sauron's like, oh, this is someone else that I can play with. This is someone else that I can play games with.
Well, and apparently Sauron has a thing for blondes.
My goodness.
I think Sauron is just low-key obsessed with Galadriel in this.
Oh, that's absolutely what it is.
And it's so bizarre to me.
Yeah. Very, very, very strange. Very strange.
I mean, it doesn't contradict any lore that we know about.
No.
But it's just like...
It's just an odd addition that this is a thing. Because Sauron is not... He's kind of all about himself.
Right.
You know? Like, he's not, like, yes, he wants to manipulate people, but, like, it's not just one individual person that he's fixated on, you know?
Remember that Netflix show called You?
Yes, I do.
That was just about, like, this guy that, like, obsessively stalks women, and yeah, it's like that. It's giving that.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah, it's very creepy.
I was going to say that you said, is Sauron a twink? And I was like, that can be the episode title, but one of our earlier episodes was, is the One Ring a twink?
Yeah. Why is it? I don't remember. Was this a Queers of Power episode?
No, this was us talking about villains. It was...
I don't know. What was the context for that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. It was 18 months ago, and I have no clue.
Is the One Ring a twink? Oh my god. Unbelievable.
We were on one.
It's I mean, when are we not, honestly?
That's true. I do love that we got to see the Doors of Durin.
Yes. So good.
I watched the Nerd of the Rings breakdown of the episode today to refresh myself because I watched the episode yesterday and my memory is garbage. So I wanted a quick refresher. And it was almost as long as the actual episode itself, so I could have just rewatched the episode.
I mean, too funny.
Anyway, in one of the scenes afterwards, they were using the Doors of Durin as like a table.
Perfect. Excellent. As they should be used.
As they should be used before they're installed.
Yeah, why not?
Like, they just had their smith's tools and like a candle lamp burning on it. And I was just like, what?
I mean, you know, nothing's gonna hurt them. They're gonna be fine.
They are gonna be fine. I mean, until the Watcher in the Water comes down.
Well, unfortunately, yes.
Yes.
Which coincidentally, we may have also seen a whisper of this episode. So
we may have heard this episode, yes.
We may have heard, yes.
I did find it really, really interesting that Mirdania refers to Anatar as the Lord of Gifts.
Yeah.
Like, do all the smiths there know that he's presumably one of the Ainur?
That's what it seems like. It sounds like that's the case. Because that's a very specific title that Celebrimbor not gave him, or that he gave Celebrimbor. And in the context of that, then he's one of the Ainur. So
yeah, and for reference, the Ainur are the Valar and the Maiar, which are the gods, pretty much. Like the gods, capital... Well, there's one capital G god, but then there's lowercase gods, but then there's even more lowercase gods.
Yes.
So
there are layers of them.
Yes. There's tier 1 and tier 2 gods, and then there's God.
That's a good way of thinking of it. Yeah.
So the Ainur are just the combination word used for the Valar, which are the tier 1 gods, and then the Maiar, which are the tier 2 gods. So the Ainur is just like the combo word for them.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Lesser Ring of Power?
Oh, okay. So I was very confused when that scene happened.
Same.
I was like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Powers are happening that I was not aware that they had. And then it's that she's this, I've already forgotten her name. Mirdania has put on this ring, and it's just like, okay, that's interesting. I do like that we got another, through her, we got another glimpse of the shadow, like of what you see when you put on a ring.
The unseen world, yeah.
Yes, exactly, which is very good. And it was one of many instances, specifically with this plot line, where people were so close to figuring it out. Like they were just on the verge of figuring out Sauron's fuckery. But because of circumstances, it didn't shake out that way. And like I was just like, oh, you guys are so close to the truth. You're so close, but you don't see it. And I mean, how can they? They can't.
Right. Well, interestingly, in the books, Celebrimbor is someone that lives in the unseen world as well, so he should be able to see what Sauron kind of looks like.
He should.
But, I mean, obviously he didn't in the books or in the show.
No.
So.
No. It's and that's the thing, and that's what makes Sauron's performance so masterful.
Oh, 100%.
It's because there's, there are all these moments and bits and pieces where, like, people should be aware of what's happening, or should pick up on things, or could pick up on things, but because of circumstances, it just doesn't happen. And then once everyone figures it out, it's too late. It's too late. Like, yeah.
I'm so excited for the reveal that he's
Oh,
Sauron.
it's gonna be so devastating.
Oh, it's going to be awful. It's going to, I mean, because this season is presumably going to end with the sacking of Eregion.
Yeah, I mean it has to, because this is episode 5 now.
Yes, and there's only 3 left, so.
Yeah, it has to end with the sacking of Eregion. It has to.
Mhm.
Which is going to be it's going to be so tragic, because I know we're going to get to Gil-galad and everyone a little bit later, or are we talking about them?
No, we'll get to them a little bit later, yeah.
But there was, I think, one of Gil-galad's people was like, or was it Elrond, who was like, if Eregion falls, like it will be such a blow to Middle Earth, or something like that.
Elrond says that, yeah.
It was Elrond. Okay, so Elrond says it. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, it is gonna suck, but here we are.
Yeah. No, I was also just amazed at how Sauron was just so good at lying. Like, he just lies as easily as he breathes.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
There's enough truth in what he's saying. There's enough truth in what he's saying that it makes sense. Like, because sometimes when he's lying, like, there's blatant lies, and then there's just lies of omission, which are still lies, but he leaves out a lot in the things that he says. And leaves it up to the other person to interpret what they will from it.
Right.
And just, and I mean, Celebrimbor even says, he even points out how much Anatar, quote unquote, Anatar does this, where, like, he plants the thoughts in people's heads, and I'm just like, you're so close.
You're so close to getting it. Oh my God.
So close. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. But
Keep going with that thought. Just go like
Yeah.
1 or 2 more steps. You got this.
Play in that space, please, I beg you.
Yeah, and Anatar is also very smart, because sometimes he just outright lies. Like, he told Mordania that the dark being that she saw was Celebrimbor. And because of the cracks that you see in Celebrimbor and the stress that he's under,
It makes sense.
you kind of believe it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just very smart, very, very smart on Anatar's part, on Sauron's part.
Yeah. And I mean, poor Celebrimbor, by the end of this episode, by the last time we see him, he's just, I mean, I say broken. He's not broken yet, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, he's a little, like, there are cracks showing.
Yes, he is very much affected, because he feels unbelievably guilty. And it's so sad, because yes, he did lie, but he is being manipulated by a master manipulator. This is not his fault. Because
no,
it's not his fault. But, like, he's, of course, to him, he feels just terrible, because he sold, like, he's sold the dwarves on this idea that these rings are going to be such a benefit to their society, and then he finds out that, oh no, it's actually bad. This is actually fucking with them.
Right.
And it's because of me.
Yeah. Like, it's his fault in a way, even though it's Sauron's fault.
Yeah.
But he has no way of knowing that.
No, it's good. It's really good.
It is. It's very smart. Do we have anything else on Celebrimbor or Anatar?
Nope, I don't think so.
So now we move to Numenor, where all right, let me just read the entry really quickly. Okay. So the new king of Numenor, our Pharazôn, blah 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 blah.
Blah blah.
The new king of Numenor, Ar-Pharazôn, again with the Ar-Pharazôn. The new king of Numenor, Ar-Pharazôn, tasks his son Kemen with cracking down on members of the faithful who remain loyal to Miriel. Kemen interrupts a memorial service that the members of the faithful are holding, leading to a fight with Isildur's friend Valandil that ends with Kemen killing Valandil. Isildur's father Elendil is blamed for starting a riot and arrested. So, yeah, we'll just get into like the big one of like...
Okay.
So I will say that scene was done really, really well because I was tense for so much of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm not, so to be clear, I'm not, like, I actually, this one along with episode 2, like, these are the strong episodes for me. Like, this episode was so well done. And so my frustration doesn't lie really in the plots. There are some bits and pieces, it's like, particularly with Numenor, where I'm still not quite sure where they're going with it. But I'm more than willing to sit back and enjoy the ride for it. I'm fine with it. My frustration is the choices of some of these people in this episode. Yeah, Kemen is just horrible.
Kemen is just awful.
He's just the worst.
And you know who else is awful? Is Aarian.
Oh, it's just...
She's done for me.
Oh, what's crazy to me? Because Isildur is going to get back to Numenor at some point. That's a foregone conclusion. He's at least going to reunite with his family again.
He's at least going to reunite with Elendil again.
Yes, at the very least, Elendil. Does she think, like, because she's saying her reasoning for this is she's doing this out of grief for Isildur.
Right.
Does she think that her brother would be proud of her fucking over their father like this?
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm getting is like Aarian is doing this out of grief, and I understand grief makes you do crazy things.
Sure.
But also there are consequences to your actions, girl.
Well, that's like the way that she's genuinely surprised that Valandil is like, no, I don't want to spend time with you. Why would I be spending time with you?
Right? There are consequences to your actions. You don't get to have friends right now.
No, girl, please.
I don't know. And then Kemen coming in here being a sad little bitch.
Oh my god.
And shutting down the shrine and antagonizing Elendil, saying, how does it feel to have a daughter who's ashamed of you? I was just like, punch him.
Yeah, seriously.
And then he breaks the relic of Yavanna.
Like, what a piece of shit. Yavanna, yes. Yes?
No, not Yavanna.
No?
Who is the... Crying Valar. Nienna.
Okay.
No.
No?
Yes.
Please hold.
Please hold. Yes, Nienna. She was responsible for crying.
Okay.
She was the Valar of crying.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, but like, he's just, and I understand his father is... First of all, can we go back a little bit? Can we rewind a little bit and talk about Pharazôn saying to his son...
And his amazing parenting.
Like, standing there, looking his son in his face and saying like, hey. You know what guess what your mom said about you when you were born, when you were a baby? She said you were a little bitch. She said you were a little bitch. You were a loser who wasn't going to amount to nothing.
That is literally what I wrote in my notes. I said, what the fuck kind of parenting is that, Pharazôn? And then I said, once your mother said you'd be a little bitch.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All around.
Yeah.
What?
Wild.
Insane behavior.
And so, like, I understand, like, and this is not in any way an excuse for his bullshit, but like, I understand his motivation in this episode. He desperately wants his father to be proud of him, wants to make his father proud, and also wants to prove his, I'm assuming, dead mother wrong. So rough.
Yeah, I just, no wonder he acted like a little bitch.
Oh, absolutely.
With a father like that.
Yeah.
I did have something. So interestingly, Elendil, when he touched the Palantir, did not see the fall of Numenor. What do we think about that? Because Miriel says...
Her conclusion is like, oh, we've done it. we fixed it. She gets to the absolute wrong conclusion.
Yes.
She was like, okay, so this is like, to her, it's it's validation that Farazan should be the king. And that's,
which is so wild to me. Like, why wouldn't you just think? I mean, I understand you wouldn't think there's something special about Elendil, because why would you necessarily?
She'd have no reason to think that, yeah.
But at the same time, like, are you just going to resign yourself to Farazan that quickly?
Yeah. Like, once again, girl, stand up.
Yeah.
Stand up, girl. Come on.
I know you're blind, but stand up.
But stand up. That's no... Sorry. I was going to say that's no excuse, but...
You can still stand if you're blind.
Of course you can. I know. I don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah, I didn't really have that much on Numenor. Like, it was good.
Solid.
It was very, very solid, and I was very happy with it.
Yeah, it was very delicious seeing Elendil's men, his former I guess soldiers or whatever they were called, showing him so much respect and showing Kemen nothing.
Oh, yeah.
But just, I mean, at a certain point, they were just straight up ignoring him. Like, he was telling everyone to shut up, basically, and they were just like, yeah, Elendil, yes, Captain.
Oh my god, no, that was amazing. Just seeing them being like, no, fuck off, Kemen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it was a very good scene.
Yeah. And then, I mean, then you get to the tenseness that was the confrontation down in the what's it called? I was gonna say the crypt, but that's not the word that I it's the sanctuary? No.
Yeah, the little
there's a name for it.
Shrine,
that's it. Yes, the shrine. First of all, okay, so they're just going full on like fascism. Like, they're not even, once again, it's going from 0 to 1,000. Like, it's just, they're not taking any breaks at all. But I mean, it very much highlights the character behind Valendil, because he could have easily killed Kemen, and I think he was going to.
I wish he would have.
Yeah, I'm sure Elendil does too.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I mean, that would have been worse for the faithful overall, and I get it would have been bad, but also, like, Farazan doesn't seem to love his son very much.
No.
So would it be that bad? Who knows?
But you know what, though? He doesn't seem to love his son, but he loves his own image. Like, he loves his own image.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This would have been bad for his image. And so even though I don't think he gives a shit about his son, he absolutely would have looked for revenge, and he would have used that as the reason behind it, even though he does not give a shit.
Yeah. No, you're right. He would have weaponized it, definitely.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious to see, like, where this goes in the next episode. I saw a brief spoiler on
oh no
Twitter from Rings of Power today, because episode 6 just came out today.
What is it?
It's Muriel, like, encountering a sea monster or something.
Okay, we've gotten clips of that before, right? I think in the trailer.
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to, like, what ritual that is, but
yeah,
why she's doing that. But that's going to be in the next episode, so I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah, because I think I understand why for her right now she is at her lowest point. And so it makes sense that she would just say, like, okay, you know what, he can have the throne. This is what was meant to happen. It's fine, whatever. I don't think it's going to stay that way.
No.
It's not going to stay that way.
It can't.
It can't. No, it can't.
Because we're going to get the fall of Numenor probably in season 3.
Yeah.
Or maybe even season 4, but I would hope season 3.
I think it kind of has to happen in season 3, otherwise people are going to forget about it.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it kind of has to happen at the end of season 3, or possibly partway through season 3, depending.
Right, because there's going to be so much fallout from that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, season 3 is probably going to be, like, the elves figuring out what they're going to do after Eregion is sacked.
Yeah.
And then the fall of Numenor. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of rebuilding and also falls of important things in season 3. Yeah, it's gonna be it's they're setting up season 3 to have a lot going on in it. A lot going on in it.
Oh yeah.
Again, they need more episodes. This show needs more episodes.
Yeah, the pacing is just kind of all over the place. They're time skipping a whole bunch, and
Also,
it's messy.
what is the time difference here? Like, what time are we playing with? Because Durin is in Khazad-dûm, then he's at Eregion, then he's here, and then he's there. Like how is he?
Well, they're really close to each other.
Okay, I guess they are.
I mean, it's not like they're like, I assume like a couple of days walk or something.
Okay, so they're not super far. Okay, so maybe I'm imagining things. It's Linden that's very far. That's much farther.
Linden is far as fuck.
Okay, so that's what's making my brain confused then. Okay, that makes more sense then. That makes more sense. But still, people are bopping around.
Yeah, it says it's like 80 to 100 kilometers.
Oh, okay. That's not terribly far then. Yeah, that's not terribly far. That's much closer than I was thinking.
I mean, at least in according to the map, so 2 to 3 days probably, but the show obviously accelerates it, so it's probably like a day or so to get there.
Right, makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I had on Numenor.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, shit's bad, yo.
Shit's bad, yo.
And then we have a very brief end part of the episode with Linden and the elves and the orcs. Wikipedia just it's one sentence. Elrond arrives in Linden and warns Gil-galad.
There you go.
Of the orcs coming to sack Eregion.
Mm-hmm. There we have it.
I did like that the ring is giving some flashes to Gil-galad again.
Me too.
That foresight is coming in handy.
Mm-hmm. And I think we were talking about it in the last episode too, that we were hoping that we would see more of Gil-galad or more of Círdan or their connections to their rings, and we got it in this episode. So
right,
yeah,
no, I think it was really good.
Well done. I liked it. Yeah,
we saw a few different flashes of things. We saw like some dead fish from the river running dry. I can't remember what else we saw.
It was the fish. There was an explosion or something like that, I believe, or something crumbling.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
I think that sounds familiar.
And then the other thing, I just watched this episode. I should know this. I should have taken a note of it, but my dinner. Yeah, I don't remember what else was in it. But it looks different than Galadriel's flashes.
Yeah,
which I think is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like it was just filmed with a different camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Galadriel's are very crisp and clear, and this was filmed with a grainy camera.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
I hated hearing Gil-galad say, "I believe this is all to be the work of Sauron."
Oh, well. Okay.
That is what Galadriel was saying for all of season 1, and you treated her like like shit and like an idiot and tried to get rid of her. It's what Elrond's been saying this season, and you're treating him like shit and dismissing him and trying to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, well, not really dismissing Elrond, I guess. Like, he's not taking it as seriously as he should.
No, he's not. This is the thing. Nobody is taking the situation and the bits and pieces of information that they have as seriously as they could be taking. I think the exception is Prince Durin, who seems to be quite aware of how dangerous things are right now with his father's ring.
Mm-hmm.
But I think outside of that, people are not aware of the gigantic looming danger.
Right.
And it feels like it's sort of a recurring theme throughout this episode. And so and the difficult thing is Gil-galad isn't necessarily, he's not incorrect. He is correct that Sauron is behind this. Yes,
right.
Sauron is responsible for this, but two things can be true.
Right. And that's the thing. I think it's just, he's not taking it seriously enough.
No.
And I don't know if he's just resigned to the fact. And I'm like, I'm sorry, if you hear that Adar is like, he's battling Adar and he's battling Sauron's army, it's like, Sauron doesn't have an army right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he's getting that information.
I think he's assuming that that's the case. I think he's assuming that's the case. which it's not a bad assumption, but it's not it's not Sauron's game right now, which is unfortunate for Gil-galad. Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. What did you think? So we saw, I think the first time we see Gil-galad is when he's reading the letter from Celebrimbor, the lie. It seemed like from the look on his face, he didn't believe what he was reading, or he was like, what did you think of his? It's I don't know. There was just something about his like sort of demeanor as he was reading it that made me think like,
Yeah, like he didn't fully buy into it.
Yeah,
he had questions still. I didn't read too much into it, I guess. I just kind of thought, okay, well, you're not buying it completely.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like the end of my thought, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I'm just curious how like, how...
Right, because it's going to take them weeks to get back over there to Eregion. Eregion's already going to be gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, it's this episode, what part of what made it devastating is like people, it's the realization that people are going to realize the danger when it's too late.
Yes.
It's going to be too late. There's nothing that they can do to undo what has already been set in motion, because the choices and the decisions that they're making are like they're making them. They're making the most, I think, informed decisions that they could make for the most part, but it's still not
ish.
It's like they're choosing the more likely of two options when it's both that are the important part. Like they need to focus on both.
Yeah, two things can be true, and you just need to be smart about it.
Yeah.
Oof,
it's
oof.
I will say, very much enjoyed Elrond saying those beautiful, wonderful words. Galadriel was right.
Oh my god, it was so good.
We've been waiting so long to hear him say this.
Yes. It was so nice to hear him just say, Galadriel was right.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
She was.
And you were wrong.
Yeah. And now, like, they're back in Lindon. Eregion, like you said, Eregion is going to be gone. It's going to be gone. That's going to be it. Game over.
Yeah. No, there's no way that Eregion is going to still be there.
Oh, no. Yeah. Which is very sad, but... choices.
And I'm curious as to what Adar's plan is, because at the end of the episode we see Galadriel being let out of a cage by Adar, and Adar is like saying he could use her as an ally, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean his reasoning makes sense.
Yeah,
because he's thinking, well, I know that you don't like Sauron. I don't like Sauron.
Right. You don't like Sauron. I don't like Sauron. What can we do?
What can we do about this?
Yeah.
Which does make a kind of sense on the surface, but...
yeah, it's a little...
Yeah. It's, because he is... I mean, I guess it's true in a sense that, yes, Galadriel's first and foremost concern is defeating Sauron and making sure his influence doesn't spread. And so he's correct in that, but like, does he think that Galadriel is just going to be chill with him and his orc family, and she's just going to let them just go and be free and do their thing in Mordor? Well, maybe that is what he thinks. Maybe that's what he's banking on.
I'm not sure. I think that's a good time to wrap it up because we don't have that much for the episode.
No, that's kind of all I had there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Queers of Time podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, which you obviously know if you are listening to the podcast. So, yeah. Anyway, you can also find us on Discord if you want to follow us there, interact with us. We have a cute little book group that we do. We have some other things that we chat about, movies, books, TV, all kinds of stuff that is queer and not queer, but mostly queer.
Mostly.
And then we have a Patreon if you want to help us there. If you subscribe to our Patreon, you get some cool stickers or sticker. You get a cool sticker with our logo on it that is glitzy and glamorous. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.